So it's all moving.
Lovely, lovely. And let me welcome Cam into the conversation. Hi, Cam.
Hi, Dimitri. It's Simon. I'm not going to be able to do much at the moment until I get some work done in the kitchen.
That's fine. No worries at all. I just saw the Cam in the name you joined. Nice to see you here, Simon.
Thanks, Dimitri. Nice to see you.
Thanks. So, first of all, let me introduce you, Boy. Boy is an incredible, very well experienced financial and business consultant. I really admire, I have to say, because I like the way he combines different aspects of a business and reporting and gives back the feedback. But I'd love first to ask Boy to introduce himself and let us know who is he and what he's working on. And what he's gonna present us today is the client yield, which is, I'm very excited, I have to say, for that. It's a project I had the opportunity and a pleasure to have a couple of learnings, looking at what it is and how it works. But today, I really also want from Boy to listen and learn more about the project. So, Boy, can you tell us about your background, your experience?
Yeah. So my name is Boy Hijnen. I am Dutch. If you're not Dutch, you're not much, but we'll leave that to the side. I am the chief of client yield. Over the course of my career as a relationship manager at Citibank, a COO at a wealth tech startup, and a team lead at an accountancy firm, I saw from many angles how the client business is run on the client management side, on the operational side, and on the growth side. And what I realized is that approach to existing clients is ad hoc and not managed as a growth engine that it should be. Which means that once a client is in the door, they are expected to stay. And if you're lucky, they buy another service. And if you're really lucky and you remember, they refer you to another client. All the while, people accept churn, right? There's a percentage. And that means that if they want to grow, they need new clients to paint over churn, which is expensive. So what I realized is if the existing clients are run holistically as an engine and making sure that retention goes up, expansion is maximized, and referrals are run like an engine, that's when you are able to generate growth from your existing clients. That means growth does not have to come from leads. It can, but the leads will then be extra, and they will not need to paint over churn. So I had this thesis that this could work, and I've been posting about this since forever. But ultimately, what I realized is the way that this can work best is if there is an automated system, I call it the Sentinel, which looks along with your business data, where it actually looks at the business data and tells you where each client is going, right? And it's not clients like this client's going up or down, but for those that are familiar with the concept of Moneyball, there are 127 metrics within retention, expansion, and referrals that are mostly leading indicators of how all your clients are doing, right? So it first of all becomes a defensive machine, but also it will show you where opportunities are to grow, and more importantly, where to ask for introductions to their clients, because they are already a client and everyone knows, but nobody manages it this way. It is easier to sign somebody that you've been warmly introduced to than it is to go out to the market and do ads and LinkedIn and cold outreach and whatever. So again, I built the system. I say but I could not have done this without Dimitris's help. I reached out to Dimitri saying, I want to build this, but I'm not a technical person. Can you help me how to do it? This was at the end of December. I now have a working Sentinel. I had nothing prior or 3 months ago.
It's a nice pleasure, Boy. It was an enjoyable journey for me too. But the point here is that I was involved in the project, just sharing my suggestions about the technical part and how to handle a couple of obstacles you faced in the journey, because the goal was for you to have the self-learning in building it so we can self-manage it after building it. So you can make your own progress, improvements as you grow your own consulting company and the service as a service. I would love to ask you something here. So the core big point of the major point from this service is that we can recognize the opportunities to receive referrals, which is something that we can have it in a lower cost, because the leads we have from cold outreach or even from all marketing activities, even if we don't pay for paid advertising, these leads have a cost, even the cost of time. Like we do almost every single day creating content on LinkedIn. This is, for example, piece of time, and this has a cost for us, right? May I ask you, what kind of companies can you get value out of it? Is it for a specific domain, specific sector, or it is more general? How does this work?
So good question. I keep on forgetting to say this, but it is business to business, and it is built for recurring revenue. And I call it recurring revenue because it is broader than just SaaS, right? Conceptually, any business that has a client that they expect to come back to pay them for their services is a recurring revenue business, right? The metrics currently, as they stand in V1, right, are 127 metrics optimized for automated subscription-based. But that doesn't mean it can't apply to manufacturing, where an order today and good relationship management will, the expectation is that they will come for a new order in whenever they run out of their purchase, or even with retainers, right? Retainers are also kind of subscription, not monthly, but maybe yearly. But it's all there to make sure that you get more value out of the clients that you have, and no stone is left unturned. Previously, this was considered not beneficial because the payback of the extra effort involved didn't warrant looking at it. But since this can now be automated, it's just near free money to not do it, right? You're shooting yourself in the foot by looking at it in the old way of thinking and not turning this on and making sure that you get the advice of the data, of your own data, fed back to you, and act upon it. Now, this is to maximize. This is to go to, let's just say you are at 91%, whereas the industry standard is 93%, but best in class is 96. You could argue you want to go to 100 because everything can now be automated. That means every suggestion is worth more. Not every suggestion is worth your while, but that's also for you to decide. So it's suggestions for the human to take action. Until such time that we can, that you feel comfortable that this can also be automated, because it basically means you need to contact the client. Now, there is enough ways how you contact the client to ask a certain thing. Who nowadays does not contact the client without first asking their LLM what's the best angle?
That's true.
Anyway, I could go on about this for years and years, and then I'm in a monologue, but that's not why I'm here. This is your show.
Absolutely no. Well, we're all here to learn from each other. And actually, we're all here to learn from you today.
Okay.
And I would love if you have a case study to show us how example works.
Yeah.
And then we can bring into conversation, into question and answer section again.
Yeah. So let me start. I have it ready. Give me 1 second. Don't want to share this one yet. There's two screens I want to share, but I want to make sure I'm in the right one first. And share. All right. This is Dimitri's favorite. It's the client yield neural map. This is, and I like how this one always sticks behind, but anyway, this is my methodology. 127 metrics rolling up into 13 drivers, rolling up into 3 outcomes: expansion lift, referral yield, and retention lift. Like that is the formula of client yield. So, for example, if I touch the net revenue retention metric, it means that my client yield is affected. If I touch the case study participation rate of my clients, I touch the client yield of clients. And if I touch the product usage decline rate, I have a leading indicator of what's going to happen with my client yield. Now, all of these are formulas. All of these are 127, right? Everything is a formula. So that means that everything can be calculated based on billing data, CRM data, sales data, satisfaction data, usage data, right? So this is the methodology as a neural map, right? So I'm now going to stop share and reshare. This is how the Sentinel will run. I have to go to the other screen.
So the methodology is inside the brain, right? Into the graph?
No, it takes from the brain.
From the brain, right.
Yeah. So the methodology is a deterministic engine. So I've had to build a deterministic engine based on the calculations that uses the 127 metrics and to calculate, because that can really quickly be done. And you don't get drift with an LLM. But so this is then this. Let me log out so you know how that works. All these things I have to delete. Okay.
So yeah, boy,
yeah.
Is it a specific list of data that are required and be processed?
So holistically, there are 7 sources of data that I need to fire most, not all, most of the 127 metrics. Some of the metrics require input on what does good look like for a company. So that's the specific input. But to start with, I can fire 99 of the 127 metrics based on billing, CRM, survey, sales, product usage, and there's 2 more. As you will understand, the more data sources you provide, the more complete the picture will be. But that doesn't mean that if you only provide 1 or 2, it's not valuable. So what I've done for today, instead of giving all 7 of the details, I've created 6 out of 7, which is maybe not all companies will have, all 7 data sources available from the start. I'm sharing 6 CSV files, uploading those, and now it will start analyzing. So as you can see, this is a company, it's a mock company, it has about 150 clients, annual revenue about 1.5 million. So mid-level SaaS-like company. So I have billing for a year. I have sales for a year. I have survey responses. Again, not all at the same year, but approximately a year, some 11 months, some 14 months, right? So it's also created messy. So it's not as though that all of these CSVs are complete, but what you will see is that the output will show in 3 or 4 more minutes what the data is telling client yield, right? Client yield being, are you maximizing or are you getting the maximum out of your existing clients? So maybe one more step so I can explain how it works. It's now running. This is all running on a deterministic engine. So all of this data is now run through the calculator, which is a Python engine. That is then fed back into Claude, and Claude will make the assessment. And Claude will say, this is great. This is a risk. And as you can see, it's kind of built in a similar chat function. So that means at some point this will pop out with a report, which is lengthy. And I'll show you how it works, because it works now, Dimitris, and unlike the previous time that we do it. But you can then ask it questions. And then this is the starting point, right? What it can also do is next month or next 2 weeks or next quarter, upload your updated files and it will show you. You don't have to do the analysis. The Sentinel will. The Sentinel will say, for example, client X was, at 100 per month, went down to 80. Why? Do you know or not? If you know, fine, right? Or client X's product usage went up in the last month from 40% to 99%. Worth the conversation. Hey, client X, we see that you are using 99% of your available seats. Are you maxing out? Do you need to increase your usage? Which is then expansion, right? Because you can tier them up to the next level. And it's also, if they are extremely happy, Claude will suggest, hey, it's time to reach out to these people for a referral. And that's indeed where the flywheel or the afterburner starts, because asking a happy client to introduce you to someone, and now I'm repeating myself, the likelihood of them signing up is more likely than when you went to that same client without having the referral. Question?
This is true. Simon, are there any questions? Because I have a couple of from what I'm seeing right now, but I would love first to invite Simon if he has any of them.
I'm not sure he's looking along.
Sorry, I am, but yeah, I'm not really in a position to ask any questions. Sorry, boy. But I'll have to go through some of this later.
No, sure, no worries. The first question that comes to my brain right now is, what kind of data did you upload it right here? Because I see billing invoices,
Yeah.
I see support tickets, which is the workload, which is how much does it cost to us to deliver them. And one thing also, how does the date range affect the outcome on this report from our data input? Because you said that you uploaded data from 4 years. So what if we have...
No, it's not 4 years. It's between 11 and 14 months. And on purposely, I made sure that, because these are conceptually 6 different systems, right? Billing comes from Stripe, for example. Sales comes from Salesforce, for example. Right? Survey responses come from Gainsight, for example, right? Support tickets come from, I don't know, whichever other one. It is meant to be not together, right? So I'm trying to show that the system can work on not homogeneous data. But as you will see, and as you will understand, if I have 14 months worth of billing, right, but I upload 8 months worth of surveys, right, of course, the data won't be fully 14 months. It will just combine the shortest. But still, all of it will be run against 127 metrics. And conclusions can be made, right? So if here's the output, right? This is the summary. So I have expansion opportunity of almost $70,000, which is what the system advised. So I found 70,000 easily, right? Based on just this data. So that's the summary, but I also have the full report. Lots and lots of text. So I'm lazy. I don't want to read all that, right? So what do? So what's my first action?
So it saved you 70K just from missing opportunities?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I need to call client 33 today. Their usage has exploded. Logins up, right? So this is what it finds. This is This is just the data that clients have fed back to them and insights gained from it with the view of making sure that you get what you deliver or you get paid for what you do. Right? Okay. So let's say I will call client tomorrow. What else what's next, right?
I like the thing that it suggests also how to communicate with this client. Let to know what to suggest. Love it.
Done. See? And then next month you upload the new files and it will remember what it did and what it suggested. And even if you didn't do it, but you said that you would, the data will show that you didn't do it, right? So they'll say, what happened with this one? Did you contact them or not? Right? First one. And this is it. This is well, now I'm biased, but superbly valuable analysis of someone's own data combined to make sure that you get all the revenue that you've earned.
Wow. I'm impressed already because it's first time looking at that in live action. And I have a question here.
Yep.
Between the 3 pillars, which are retention, expansion, and referrals, I'm just being curious from your experience so far in consulting, what is the one that most businesses completely ignore from those 3 pillars?
So I won't say ignore. Like everyone and everyone knows about them. But what they don't do is they don't manage it. And it's because, and I post about this quite often, retention is managed by client services, client experience. So it's the VP of customer success, right? Expansion is part of sales, right? But sales is mostly, I guess, required to go after new logos instead of getting more from existing logos. So it's a to do, but it's never to do number one. It's always to do number 8 or 9, right? And with referrals, what I see, and I have a conversation with somebody who wants to sell me leads. It's funny, I'm going to make this comment, who says, yeah, I asked Hormozy AI, what is the best way to get to 7 figures? And this may be just matters of opinion, but Hormozy AI said, yeah, leads. Like, of course, Hormozy AI says leads because they run acquisition.com. Look, it is cheaper to have your existing people run the work that they should be doing, which is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just needs to be higher on their plate, right? Because everyone is in here to make revenue for clients to make sure they don't leave. This just shows you how to do it better. And it just generates more revenue or growth that is cheaper bottom line than finding that new. Now I'm repeating myself, but you get the gist. So in order, I would say that what I know from experience is that referrals are the most under managed. That's because they're not run like a system, right? Maybe this is the crux. If you run referrals like a system, you'll get more. Like what everyone does is, hey, Dimitris, do you know someone who could be interested in my services? Now you've asked for a referral. What's the likelihood of you giving me one? Yeah, let me think about it.
Yeah.
Right. And then we hang up and then nothing happens. Whereas if you do it differently and you force things, and I ask you, give me a name and I'll contact them. Just an example.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood of me actually landing the referral because I just created more contacts? And just saying.
Yeah, I totally agree that from my experience, the pillar that is less managed from every business I know and every business owner I've worked so far in my career is the referral power. And this is because of, we hesitate to ask for referrals. I had also the same hesitation coming to you and asking for referrals because I don't know. It's not something we get learn about it. We never thought about it. It's weird. But the thing is, we are very glad to referral to our friends this guy who helped us, or this company or the team or lady, doesn't matter, who help us do the next step. And we have many reasons to do that for referrals. Because first of all, we're gonna be smart enough. We're gonna be valuable for our closest friends, saying, "Hey, look, you wanna need help? This is the guy who can help you." We brought this help to them, and I find, referrals being quite weird and creating me also till now a piece of hesitation. But I see that people who came to me with by referral from other people, they're people who we build not only professional relationship, but also a friendship. We chat on WhatsApp for tiny things. I really enjoy the spirit, and we usually tend to have the same culture, and the culture matters important.
This is the other thing, right? The quality of the new business through referrals is higher than just maybe one-time cold acquisition. You have to, and this is the other thing, right? Just getting a lead to do one-time service, yeah, sure. But if you don't service those clients correctly, right, they're going to leave after their contract is up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go churn again, and then you have to bring in more cold leads to grow, right? Because you're losing a lot on the back end. You have to spend more to grow more. Whereas if you just make sure that your client base is maximized, it'll grow organically, it'll grow sustainably, and it'll grow compounding. Then on top of that, right, it'll be a growing business. It'll grow at whatever you want, 5, 10, 15%. If you do that well, you can still go out to the market and find new leads. But guess what? That is in addition to that's in addition to what you're already doing, right?
Mm.
It's not to paint over what's falling off at the back end.
Yeah.
So everything that you then report back is extra. It really becomes, I know you call it flywheel and afterburner. Sorry, I can talk about this for hours and I will make the same point over and over again. Hopefully it lands at some point.
I like it and I appreciate it, to be honest, because we learn from your consulting experience so much, and help us a lot. I want to ask you, you mentioned something that triggered me, that Claude starts thinking deterministically. Would you want to?
No. So
It works here.
So the way that I've built it is that because all of the metrics are formulas, I run those formulas through a Python engine for this data. Now, there's two things that Claude does. When it uploads, Claude does the mapping of the data to the engine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So all calculations come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the calculations are done. It's like instant, right? Because it's just Python. So it's just okay, boom. Then those results are being interpreted against the client yield methodology in Neo4j.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this output is. So I get two API calls technically, right? First is this is the data. Now I need to map it to the engine.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the output. Now I need to map it to the methodology and make it a recommendation for this client from a client yield lens, making sure that they maximize the revenue from the existing client. So that's what it does. And then it becomes it's an expert instantly, right? Because every time it calls it knows exactly what to do because it has the engine and the Neo4j brain. So it knows exactly what to do. And then it just is your client yield brain that you converse with in this manner from a interaction perspective.
Whoa.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So in those two API calls into Claude, I guess, are you using Claude specific model? Which model do you use?
Yeah, it's Opus.
It's Opus. Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, I say that. I think it's Opus for the. So it's Opus for the mapping, and it's Opus for the initial assessments. But then when you start chatting, I think it's the other one. What's that one again?
Sonnet or Vehicle?
No, Sonnet.
Sonnet. Yeah. It's been way quite fast, I would say.
Yeah, look, yeah.
Just being curious, in terms of taxonomy, do you use a mapping storage? So
What does it mean? Let's say every user in this platform has their own system, right? So they have their own fields in those CSVs, right? And I'm asking you, after the mapping from Claude, do you store into your database somewhere what was mapped and how many times it was mapped? So the next time you don't have to query the API call, but instead you have to get into this database, check if this mapping already exists. So you avoid this API call.
Well, I haven't built it in that manner yet because it could be, I want flexibility, right? I want, if, for example, a client decides to switch from gain site to plan head, right? The next month, the data is still the same, or it's just that the format is different. Right, so whatever CSV plan head provides instead of gain site is different. So I still need, for now, but maybe that's a development question, which I'll gladly take. And you made me think it's also cheaper. So I'm still Dutch. So definitely something that I need to consider. But where I'm now, this is the third time I'm showing this on camera. So anyone that wants to use it, feel free to reach out, and we can set up a Sentinel service for you, and then we can build it or not, and build it to your liking, because this is very rudimentary. The text is just text, but the quality is really high. But we can tweak how it looks if needed. But I want to do that for clients.
Can we also process the marketing spend data to be included into the process? And what I'm calling marketing spend data,
from my experience so far, as a marketing spend, I count my time working for content and any activities I'm doing to be out to the market, which mostly is organic, never getting paid advertising and anything like that. But this is mostly time, and also time to create things, services I'm paying for, to being aggressive in that, these kind of things.
And yeah, I'm just being, but even for paid advertising, for example, could we process these data into the process to recognize, any trends, correlations?
Not in this engine, because I have an interesting question you ask. My expertise and knowledge starts at when a client signs on. So you have the sales, the cold outreach, right? Or the sales department that woos a client until they sign on, right? Phase 1. Phase 2, that's what I manage. Marketing, from my perspective, is phase 1. Because you are trying to land new clients. What I do is, once you onboarded them, I make sure they don't leave and they grow. Right, so I've clearly delineated that until the client comes on board, that's marketing, CMO, cost of acquisition spend. That's CAC. Marketing, anything else is not. Or it's not phase 2. Because I don't think you're marketing for your existing clients. You could,
Yeah.
but it's not built into the system currently. If you show me that it is part of what happens after they onboard, I could argue it could be V2, right? More metrics. Conceptually, nothing's stopping anyone or me to further grow this setup.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
It's just more data and just knowing how to assess everything.
What kind of companies can start using Sentinel
For their case, depending on their size, their current level of growth, the startup, a scale-up business, solopreneurs like me.
Yeah. As you will understand, the more data it has, the more valuable the insights. But I'm talking to a startup tomorrow about this, and I'm like, how can it help? Well, actually, it can help from the start, because as soon as you start loading data, it will give you insights, right? So whatever you do with existing clients, right? If you have 8 or 9 clients, right? It's imperative that you keep those whilst also growing, right? So you're balancing, you have a balancing act, right? So but what this then does, what's the word I'm looking for? This corrects you whilst you are running the business, because every time you upload a new set of data, it'll show you what you're doing, right? If it's great, it'll tell you that you're great. Keep on trucking. Or if you're missing something, it will show you, right? So even though I would argue it's the biggest opportunity will probably lie when you use it for a longer time or when you're a larger business, because then the numbers will just increase. But conceptually, you can start running it now. And guess what? If you run it now, it's not like you're coming to a doctor to say, hey, I have a sore knee. What do we need to do, right? You've created the situation where you have a sore knee, for example. Whereas this prevents you from getting a sore knee. This is just, what's the word I'm looking for? This is how you run your business best. And it tells you how you're doing it. So it auto-corrects you. It's like an autopilot almost. But it auto-corrects you on the way. Having said that, I think that the initial easiest fit is for clients that have subscription businesses, monthly, SaaS, probably ones that are between 11 and 50 in people onboarded, where not all the functions have been, or where a lot is not official. There's no SOP for everything yet. This will just replace all of that, right? No assumptions. This will just show the data back to you and what you should do. So you don't need an SOP because this is the SOP on the fly. Again, conceptually, anyone that has recurring revenue business should use this. But I'm biased.
And
B2B.
What?
B2B.
B2B. Yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense for B2B. Yeah, for sure. What if a business doesn't have that much tracking? Okay. For example, what if they don't have a CRM that can track all of this information like HubSpot or Salesforce? They just have an Excel sheet or an Airtable stuff.
Yeah. Airtable can be exported to CSV, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My question is, when you meet a business owner, a CEO of a lower size company, who they want to grow fast, so they want to get the advantage of these kind of suggestions and services, and they're willing to pay for that too. And the first talk, when you realize that a couple of things are missing, and it's quite easy for them to deploy them in their business, like a CRM or any tool like that, which are the basic must-have from tomorrow morning for them, and what is okay, it's good to have it, okay if you don't have it.
Well, I have a grid. I don't have it readily by hand, but which shows which data source maps to which metrics. I think billing maps to 21 metrics, right? Out of the 127. So that which business doesn't have a billing system, or not a billing system, but accountancy data or Stripe data. What you get paid, right? Let me say it this way. Whatever you have is already more than what you should be. And maybe it's in such a way that, hey, it's like a little bit of a carrot and a stick, right? Yeah, I don't have a CRM, right? Now, I wouldn't say go out and buy a HubSpot because it's very expensive. I know that, or a Salesforce. But then track it in Airtable, right? And track the following things. Once you have that, right? Or maybe you set up an AI agent that creates everything from your Gmail into Airtable, right? And share that with me. The data is there, and it'll be just interpreted accordingly. And if there's questions, I'm still the human in the loop that does the QA, and more than happy to tweak. But it'll show based on what it's fed. It's not meant to fed. I mean, ideally, sure, we have all the 7, right? But realistically, not everyone does.
Yeah.
But whatever the output is already more than what you don't have. So it's valuable from source 1, right? The more sources, the more valuable.
Yeah.
And the source is not like I say Stripe as an example, but it's built CSV. Right? Which system that you use for your data to manage your business cannot produce a CSV.
True.
You can upload your own CSV here. Look, and ultimately, nobody wants to do that. And I'm more than happy to do APIs. But let's start with the CSVs. That's the easy part.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. In terms of tracking the performance after the initial upload, how often the user has to upload the data? Weekly, monthly, quarterly?
I've built it in such a way that they can do it whenever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but from your experience into consulting, when would you suggest them to do? Because when I'm saying that, I used to have quarter goals, saying, okay, in this quarter, I want to achieve 5 things. And 1 year ago, I made a big shift on that, making the quarter a week time.
Yeah.
And I say, in the next 7 days, I want to achieve 5 things. So I go for that. And so for me, for example, because I'm tracking my performance every single week, and my deliverables and all of this stuff, I would go in uploading my data in weekly base.
Well,
for example,
do you charge weekly for your clients?
Not weekly, but every week I have new engagements.
Okay. In that case, it is built to be flexible, but it's again, I think it's currently optimized for monthly subscriptions, right? So what happens is most times at the first or the end of the month, the money comes in, right? So the billing runs monthly, right? Unless you do it, I don't know, if you've set it up in such a way that client A pays Monday the 1st, client B pays Tuesday the 2nd. Probably you don't. Mostly it's all at once in one go. This is a financially focused system.
Mhm.
So billing data is very important. Which business doesn't have one? Billing data tends to be issued once a month, right? Look, again, in your case, I could see it even working with a weekly base. Right? It'll show you week on week what changed. And it'll give you suggestions.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of SaaS 11 to 50. They probably have like between, I don't know, 20 and 500 clients that they charge automatically through whatever system that they have. And that system will give them a monthly file that goes in here. That already gives you so much information, right? Because it'll show, especially the first one, right? It already shows what trends are. But then again, the month thereafter, it'll take what it did and see how that trend was. So you have a baseline and you can only grow from there.
Yeah. Okay, it makes sense. Boy, would you mind to explain us how different metrics correlate with each other against to the sector of the business, the case study?
Because I still remember the first example you gave me when we first had talk a few months ago,
When you said that you may have a churn of 1 out of 100 clients, which means 1% churn in terms of contracts.
Nice.
Not that big. Then you told me that what if this one guy was an enterprise level with greater impact to your turnover and the revenues and whatever you build based on this expected revenue. So this 1% doesn't have to say anything, but if we correlate it with the revenue coming from that,
It's actually a 10% hit.
yeah, and also with the other metrics. And still remember that you gave me an example that a couple of correlations are grouped for that specific domain. And we also get into deeper analysis for the business model every single business follows, and that in the same domain, which is actually, this is what separates us in the market, right? So I want to ask you, how do you recognize in this process, in the automated process, what is the correlation we have to follow?
Now, let me go back to, this is what we built in the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the methodology, let me just, let's go, share, can do this, 1 second.
And I have to say, your presentation from the brain, the nodes graph, is so impressive to me. I want to steal the library you're using for this HTML.
Just ask. I asked Claude to do it for me. I said, look at my Neo4j graph and make it in a nice looking HTML. And then I tracked it 4 or 5 times, and then I gave it these colors, etc. This is just pure vibe coding. So it was that, and then I didn't know how to do it. But so I'll be honest with you. I've built the methodology in such a way that each metric is a calculation in and of itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And each can be derived from any of the 7 sources. Because I did the mapping of the 7 sources back to each of these 127 metrics. But the logic in the methodology is so that, yes, if there is a whale client, such as one client leases out of 100 and it's 1%, but it's also 10% of revenue, that it's a big red flag from a revenue perspective. Right? And because, let me reframe it. I have about 77 leading metrics. Mm-hmm. So if that client, which is 10% of 10% of revenue, if something's going wrong, any of the leading metrics should capture that. It shouldn't come as a surprise that the client is leaving, because it'll have been flagged by the leading metrics, product usage data, right? For example, any type of engagement data. If that starts going down, it'll be alarmed, especially also because of the size. So the logic is set up in such a way that it will definitely find, like if for example, in your example, the 1% client decides to leave, they're not going to leave tomorrow without, there's a process before they decide to leave, right? The leading metrics are exactly there to capture that, right? Which means you have an opportunity to save prior to them saying, I'm thinking about leaving, right? The signals are already there. Now, that kind of means that once you see, for example, the usage metrics go down, you need to talk to that client, especially because he represents, or she, or they, 10% of your revenue, right? Any change in any of this data for that client is a red alert. And I don't think it's currently managed in that way at all. Mostly it's like somebody that needs to talk to the client has their quarterly. They tick the box of, I had a quarterly, this is what we discussed, blah. So everything is done according to the current standard practices, but there's no signal being seen outside of that the client is potentially leaving. They are still paying their money. They're still meeting quarterly. I'm just giving an example, right? They're still uploading or doing whatever, but mentally they've already decided that they are leaving. That decision should be visible from any of the leading metrics that I have.
Nice. Very smart. And I know we're at the end of the time. I could stay here for other 2 hours asking you questions, because I really love the way you thought about the methodology. And that was a nice opportunity for me also to learn more about the steps and the logic, avoiding the tech part from the previous conversation we had. It was so insightful for me. I would love to have it again in the next week or the week after, where I would love to see the next additions you may add into the process, feedback we may have from that. And actually, the thought I have right now in my mind is, I would love somehow to see a recognition of what I'm missing in tracking. Because, I'm a big fan of data tracking and data analysis. And from today's conversation, I realized that there are many things I'm not tracking into my platform, into my solo consulting service. So the first thing from here is that, okay, let's start tracking this information, this data, to recognize what's going on. And also even more data, because the tracking can be totally automated. We don't have to do anything. We just use the system and the track comes.
We can. Yeah, we have to think about that. So what I can show, for example, next time is this is the first run. I can also show the second one. It's not, the same thing is going to show up. It's going to work the same. The only difference is, and it's going to take us another 7 minutes. The only difference is the what is it? The Sentinel will show the most recent uploaded data as base. Right, so it will do the exact same thing. You just upload a new set of data and says, "This is my working my starting base." Right? That's what I need to start from, and this is then the output. And it will ask then, of course, looking at my previous recommendations, did you do any of the following, etc., etc.
Nice.
We can look at that. Invite me if, but I speak too much.
I love it. You speak and show too many things, and I really appreciated attending us today. It was a pleasure.
Welcome.
And for sure, we're gonna talk to do it again very soon.
Thanks, man.
Chase.
Iris.